The first time the baby dragon sold his favorite toy, the universe didn't notice, but something ancient and cruel smiled. His name was Virex, though no one called him that anymore. Names cost food. Food cost credits. And credits were things a hatchling should never have to understand. He stood on the cold alloy floor of Meridian Station's lower bazaar, claws trembling as he pushed a small, carved starship toward a merchant stall. The toy was cracked and scorched from when his mother had breathed fire at it, laughing, before the skies burned and she never came back. It had once meant safety. Now it meant one more day alive. And that should have been impossible. Because dragons, true dragons, were supposed to be extinct. Or so the galaxy believed. The merchant was a six-eyed kelthbroker with metal filigree grafted into his skull. He sniffed the toy, unimpressed, then glanced down at Virex. His eyes lingered on the child's small horns, the ember glow under translucent scales. Recognition flickered. Then greed. "I'll give you half a ration," the broker said. "And you'll thank me." Virex nodded quickly. Gratitude was safer than arguing. As the ration pack hit his claws, the broker leaned in close and whispered, "You won't last long out here, little flame. Someone will notice what you are." Virex didn't answer. He already knew. But that was only the beginning. Meridian Station orbited a dead blue star, a trade hub where thousands of species crossed paths without ever truly seeing one another. Above the glittering commercial rings lay pristine habitats for diplomats and elites. Below, in the underrings, light was rationed, air was thin, and children learned fast. Virex slept inside a broken cargo pod, wrapped in scraps of thermal foil. Every night, he dreamed of wings large enough to blot out the sky and a voice that rumbled like thunder telling him to be brave. Every morning, he woke up smaller. Dragons didn't starve easily. That was the myth. The truth was harsher. Without elders to guide him, without the ancient rites to awaken his full physiology, Virex's body burned more energy than it could sustain. His fire glands ached. His wings never grew. He was a dragon stuck halfway between legend and corpse. And someone was watching him. She first noticed him while buying black market antibiotics. Dr. Mara Klein didn't come to Meridian Station for heroics. She came to disappear. Once, she'd been a xenobiologist on Earth, recruited into a joint human consortium research program studying extinct megafauna. Then she discovered something the consortium had buried for centuries. Dragons hadn't gone extinct. They'd been erased. The research station burned. Her colleagues vanished. And Mara learned how quickly ethical objections became capital crimes. So she ran. Now she patched up dockworkers, smugglers, and anyone who could pay in favors. She kept her head down. She didn't look twice at hungry children. Until she saw fire flicker in a child's throat. It happened by accident. A group of older scavengers cornered Virex near a waste chute, laughing as they knocked his ration pack into the grime. Fear surged, and a spark escaped his mouth, no bigger than a candle flame. But it was dragon fire. Mara froze. Her pulse roared in her ears as memories she tried to bury clawed their way back. Ancient genetic markers. Energy signatures that defied physics. The forbidden files stamped "Do Not Pursue." The scavengers fled, screaming. Virex collapsed, shaking, smoke curling from his lips. Mara reached him before she could stop herself. "What did they do to you?" she whispered. Virex tried to crawl away. Humans were the worst. Humans asked questions. Humans sold answers. But instead of grabbing him, she took off her coat and draped it over his shaking body. Warmth followed. Real warmth. "I'm not going to hurt you," she said. And for the first time in weeks, someone spoke to him like he mattered. What I saw next changed everything. Mara scanned him in her clinic, heart hammering as the readings confirmed the impossible. He wasn't just a dragon. He was a royal strain, biological command nodes, dormant reality warping potential, a species designed to stabilize star systems. Living gods, reduced to prey. You shouldn't exist, she murmured. Virex curled up on her examination table, clutching a tiny bag. Inside were his last 2 toys, a cracked hollow figure and a singed fabric doll. I can trade these, he said softly. For food. Something in Mara broke. She remembered the files. The truth the consortium had hidden. Dragons weren't conquerors. They were guardians. When advanced civilizations grew reckless, dragons intervened, collapsing unstable tech, burning war fleets, forcing balance. So the galaxy united to kill them. Mara looked at the child who had sold his memories to survive. And she made a choice. Taking him in was dangerous. Keeping him alive was treason. But leaving him meant extinction. So she lied. She falsified records. Masked his energy signature. Taught him to hide the fire when fear rose. At night, she told him stories of earth oceans and rain that didn't burn. Virex listened with wide eyes, memorizing every word like treasure. For the first time since the sky fell, he slept without dreaming of hunger. But the galaxy doesn't let miracles stay hidden. Around the midpoint of their fragile peace, Meridian Station went into lockdown. Consortium enforcers flooded the lower rings, their arrival announced by the hum of null field generators, technology designed to suppress Dragon-class entities. Mara felt it instantly. Her instruments screamed. Virex collapsed, crying out as the air itself pressed against his chest. They were hunting him. And then came the twist no one expected. The enforcers didn't want to kill Virex. They wanted to activate him. Deep in the station's core, an ancient machine waited, built from dragon bones and human code. The consortium had finally realized what dragons truly were. Not threats, but keys. Keys to restarting dying stars. Keys to controlling reality's most violent forces. They needed a living dragon child. Mara ran. Alarms blared. Bulkheads slammed shut. She carried Virex through smoke-filled corridors as enforcers closed in, offering deals, promising safety, insisting the child's suffering would serve the greater good. You're human, they told her. You understand sacrifice. Mara looked down at Virex, claws digging into her shoulder as he whispered, Please don't sell me. And she understood exactly what sacrifice meant. In the final chamber, with nowhere left to run, she did the unthinkable. She told Virex the truth. About his species. About his power. About the fact that if he chose to awaken, the station, and everyone on it, might not survive. But you don't owe them anything, she said, voice breaking. Not your fire. Not your life. Virex looked at the machine. Then at Mara. Then he remembered the toys he'd sold. The nights he'd been cold. The way she tucked him in and pretended not to cry. He straightened. And for the first time, his wings unfolded. Not large. Not yet. But real. The machine activated anyway, forcing energy into him. Pain ripped through his body as ancient systems tried to bend him into a tool. And then something happened that the consortium had never predicted. Human empathy. Mara stepped into the field with him, her unaugmented body screaming as it burned. She held him, grounding him, whispering, You're not alone. Dragons amplified intent. Virex didn't become a weapon. He became a choice. Fire exploded outward, not destructive, but precise. The machine melted. The null fields shattered. Enforcers fled as the station stabilized, the dying blue star outside flaring back to life. The galaxy felt it. A dragon had awakened. But not for them. In the aftermath, Meridian Station was abandoned, written off as an anomaly. The consortium buried the incident like all the others. But rumors spread. Of a human and a small dragon seen traveling together. Of stars healing instead of dying. Of a guardian who chose kindness over command. Years later, Virex would remember the toys he sold. Not with sadness. But with gratitude. Because he learned something the galaxy never did. That the strongest fire doesn't come from power. It comes from being loved. And choosing to protect someone back.